The Woodcutter and the Axe. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between towering mountains and thick forests, there lived a humble woodcutter named Liam. Every morning, he would rise before the sun, gather his tools, and journey deep into the forest to chop wood. His livelihood depended on his strength and integrity, for though his earnings were meager, he took great pride in the honesty that defined his character. Liam's house, a modest wooden cottage on the outskirts of the village, reflected the simplicity of his life. It was small, with a thatched roof and a single chimney from which smoke curled every evening. The only sounds that filled his home were the crackling fire and the occasional chirps of the birds that gathered in his garden. Liam lived alone, for his parents had passed away when he was a boy, leaving him to fend for himself. Yet, he found solace in his work and in the beauty of nature around him. Despite his hard work, Liam was content. He had few needs, and the forest provided him with everything, a bounty of wood for selling and enough for his own hearth during the long winters. What he lacked in wealth, he made up for in honesty and goodwill, traits that earned him the respect of the villagers. Whenever they saw him walking through the market, carrying bundles of neatly chopped logs, they would smile and greet him warmly. Liam, in return, was always quick with a friendly nod or a kind word. But the forest was not just a source of livelihood for Liam, it was also his sanctuary. He felt a deep connection to the towering trees that had stood for centuries, their roots intertwined with the history of the land. The birds, the deer, and even the streams that meandered through the woods felt like old friends, and Liam treated them with the reverence they deserved. One fateful day, as Liam was chopping wood near the edge of a river that ran through the heart of the forest, an accident occurred that would test his integrity. After a long morning of cutting trees, Liam felt tired. He placed his axe by the river bank and sat down to rest for a moment. The cool breeze brushed against his skin, and the sound of the rushing water lulled him into a state of calm. But in a moment of distraction, as Liam stood to stretch, his hand brushed against the axe, sending it tumbling into the river. Liam watched in horror as the axe, his only tool for work, sank beneath the water and disappeared from sight. Panic surged through him, for without his axe, he could not cut wood. And without wood, he would have nothing to sell, no means of survival. He knelt by the riverbank, staring into the depths of the water, but the river was fast and deep, and he could see no trace of his axe. Feeling helpless, Liam sat down on a rock, his head in his hands. What was he to do? How would he replace his axe? His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden flash of light, and when he looked up, he saw an unusual sight. Standing before him was a shimmering figure, a woman, her form glowing with an ethereal light. She seemed to rise from the water itself, her gown made of sparkling droplets, her hair flowing like the current of the river. "Why do you weep, good woodcutter?" the woman asked, her voice as soft as the rustling leaves. Startled, Liam stood up and bowed respectfully. "Forgive me, my lady," he said. "I am a poor woodcutter, and I have just lost my axe in the river. Without it, I cannot work, and I fear for my livelihood." The woman regarded him with gentle eyes. "Fear not," she said, her voice comforting. "I am the guardian of this river, and I have seen your honest heart. Let me help you." With that, the guardian of the river disappeared beneath the surface, and a few moments later, she emerged, holding a gleaming axe made entirely of gold. The golden axe shone brightly in the sunlight, its blade sharper than anything Liam had ever seen. The guardian held it out to him. "Is this your axe, woodcutter?" she asked. Liam stared at the golden axe, marveling at its beauty, but he shook his head. "No, my lady," he replied honestly. "That is not my axe. Mine was a simple tool of iron and wood." The river guardian smiled at his reply and disappeared once more into the water. This time, when she reappeared, she held a silver axe, its handle smooth and polished. The blade caught the light, sparkling as brightly as the golden one. "Is this your axe?" she asked again. Liam looked at the silver axe, admiring its craftsmanship, but again he shook his head. "No, my lady," he said. "That is not my axe either." The guardian smiled once more, her eyes twinkling with approval. "I see you are a man of great honesty," she said. Then, for the third time, she vanished into the depths of the river. When she returned, she held an axe that was familiar to Liam, the same iron blade and wooden handle that he had lost. "Is this your axe?" she asked for the final time. Liam's face lit up with relief and gratitude. "Yes," he exclaimed. "That is my axe." The river guardian handed him the simple axe, her smile broadening. "Because of your honesty, I will reward you," she said. "Not only will you have your axe returned, but you may keep the golden and silver axes as well. Use them wisely, and may your honesty bring you great fortune." Liam could hardly believe his ears. He thanked the guardian profusely, overwhelmed by her kindness. With his heart full of gratitude, he watched as she disappeared back into the river, leaving him alone once more in the quiet of the forest. Carrying the 3 axes, Liam returned to the village, his heart light with joy. When he arrived, the villagers gathered around him, curious about the gleaming golden and silver axes he now carried along with his old one. They marveled at his story as he recounted the events of the day, the loss of his axe, the appearance of the river guardian, and the reward for his honesty. Moral: honesty is the best policy.
Thanks for watching the story. Subscribe for more stories.